Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be providing a long-term market analysis update for Elrond. So I just want to start off here on the EGLD Bitcoin ratio, and what this chart is going to show us is how Elrond is performing with respect to Bitcoin. Now, naturally, given the environment, given the current bearish conditions, Elrond, like most other altcoins, has been underperforming Bitcoin. And the goal here is not just to look and say, well, hey, it's in a downtrend. I'm more focused on what can we look to that might signify some sort of end to this downtrend, which really just began back here in November of 2021, going on almost a year since we really started to underperform Bitcoin. And what I'm looking at here that is probably the most important thing is these two moving averages on the chart. So the red one is the 20-week simple moving average. The green one is the 21-week exponential moving average. I like to consider them as some sort of band, and I can look at this level as resistance. And basically you can see that ever since EGLD Bitcoin has lost this level back here in January, this has been where all of the lower highs have rejected off of. So, notice how we had this rejection right here in February, another rejection here in March, another one, April, May, all these candles coming up to this level, ultimately failing to get back above that. You can see we actually had a rejection on the previous week. And this is just an extremely important level that I think is pretty important to watch out for because, again, that is where all of the lower highs have been forming off of. This is the level of resistance. And given how we've rejected off of this, 5 or 6 times, I would consider it to be pretty strong resistance. But the good thing about this being a strong level of resistance is that eventually, when EGLD Bitcoin does reclaim this level, it's going to give us a very strong and powerful signal. And the reason that is because when you have such a defined area where basically it's held as resistance for over 36 weeks on numerous separate occasions, when that is flipped into support, that is going to be a great sign that potentially the downtrend has ended, and that's going to be something that I'm going to be looking out for. Whether we can reclaim this in a few weeks, a few months, or maybe into the middle of next year, I'm not sure. But when we do reclaim this, it's going to be a very powerful signal, and it's something that you should be watching out for, especially considering the implications on the USD pair, where if this chart starts to reverse this longer term downtrend, then that's going to bring a lot of relative strength into EGLD on the USD pair. And that relative strength is ultimately what I want to see from an altcoin investment, where if the altcoin is not outperforming Bitcoin at the very least, then from a risk to reward standpoint, I would rather just hold Bitcoin, which itself is taking on less risk and less volatility. So that's my view on the EGLD Bitcoin ratio. Now let's switch over here to the USD pair. So I'm going to be looking at the same moving averages because they're important on both charts. And just to illustrate this, you can see that we actually did have a rejection off of this level right here in February. This was where that lower high occurred. And then you can see another rejection right here in April. So do consider that this is the level of resistance. And currently these moving averages are coming in from the range of 64 all the way up to $76. So this is the level, once again, that I'm looking out to as our longer term resistance. And do consider the fact that these moving averages are going to be moving down. And the reason that is because they're averaging on the weekly time frame from 20 weeks ago. And if we were to go back 20 weeks, you can see we were really just closing prices upwards in this $130 range, which means that we're averaging down and it's going to continuously move down. So again, even if we're not having an immediate spike up, consider the fact that this moving average could meet us down in the next few weeks. So look out to see if we can actually, have some sort of positive interaction. What we don't want to see is another rejection similar to that of March and February, because that was actually followed up with lower lows. So something to keep an eye on in the next few weeks. And again, if we're starting to form lower lows similar to what we were doing back here in February and March, the next logical level of support on this weekly time frame is going to be these highs from earlier on in 2020. You can actually see that this was a level where we basically had this double topping pattern, this first high in July, another retest later in September. So this area around $33, $32 would be important if we're having a rejection or a retest of these lows. And even though that scenario is within the cards, I really wouldn't give a huge probability to something like that happening, because I would see that scenario most likely occurring if Bitcoin were to, say, lose its lows in place and start to head back down, say, under 15K, which certainly can happen, and there certainly is a possibility of that. but I would say the probability is a little bit lower than the chance that we actually just consolidate a little bit further from here. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out our sponsors in the link in the description below. This channel is partnered with FTX.US, which is a great cryptocurrency exchange where you can buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies like EGLD. And if you sign up with my link in the description below or through my referral code SNOWYCRYPTO, you can get a 5% discount on exchange fees. So as always, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.